How can Marvel possibly top the epicness that was Infinity War and Endgame? That is the major question plaguing the minds of Marvel fans everywhere, but I think that I might have an idea. There are a ton of possible story arcs from the comics that they could go with, but there is one that not many people have talked about, that I could see being a viable option, considering what we know about Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and beyond. I'm of course talking about Annihilation, which might not be one that most people would expect, but bear with me, as throughout this video I'm going to break it down and explain how this might just be the direction Marvel is going to go for the as of yet unannounced 5th Avengers film. Let's dive right into it. So, okay, you might not be that familiar with this specific comic arc. Can't really blame you, as it isn't one that deals with Marvel's most popular characters, so you might not have read it. Yeah, in the comics that means no Spider-Man, no Captain America, none of those people. Instead, 2006's Annihilation was much more concerned with the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe, with characters such as Nova and Drax the Destroyer taking center stage amongst all of the craziness that was going on around them. See, the arc saw Annihilus, an insect-like conqueror hailing from a pocket dimension known as the Negative Zone, coming into the main universe, seeking to do what else but take it all over. With him came something known as the Annihilation Wave, which was a massive army the likes of which the universe had never seen. Standing in his way, however, was members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Nova Corps, Kree and Skrull forces, and even Galactus himself, the Devourer of Worlds. Because only one person can destroy planets in this universe, and Galactus apparently isn't cool with people stepping on his turf. Now, there is a lot that happens in this arc that I just simply do not have the time to go into, including really weird events like Drax dying only to be reborn in a less muscular form, Xandar and countless other worlds being completely decimated, and Ronan the Accuser becoming the official leader of the Kree people. Seriously, it was a lot. Worth giving it a read though if you're interested in the fine details. Now that being said, even with just that super brief description, we can already start coming up with some ways to connect the current direction of the MCU to this arc. First of all, we've got to look at what Phase 3 gave us, and what Phase 4 looks to be setting up. Phase 3 had a pretty large focus on the cosmic side of the MCU, with Captain Marvel and Thor Ragnarok bringing a lot of attention to the goings-on in the space side of things. Captain Marvel actually gave us the Skrull, and introduced us to the conflict between the green shapeshifters and the Kree Empire. Now, as you might remember, just a minute ago, I mentioned that the Kree and Skrull stood up against Annihilus and his Annihilation Wave. So having these two peoples in the MCU already gives us a pretty big piece of the pie, especially with the Skrull seemingly working with S.W.O.R.D. as some sort of galactic force. Speaking of S.W.O.R.D., we just recently received word that Nick Fury himself is going to be getting a Disney Plus series in the not too distant future. And thanks to the end credit tease we saw at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, we know that Fury is working in space alongside the Skrull, as part of what many people theorize is S.W.O.R.D., S.H.I.E.L.D's space-focused sibling. So what if Fury's show sees the super spy traveling throughout the cosmos, meeting and befriending alien races, all in preparation for the next big threat? That being Annihilus in this case. Now, in addition to kind of fitting with what we've already seen in the past, Annihilation would also potentially give Marvel a golden opportunity. An opportunity to introduce the Fantastic Four into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Something that we know is coming, although it's reportedly a ways off. You see, Annihilus is what one would usually call an Avengers level threat. However, so is Galactus, everyone's favorite planet eater. And yet, just like Galactus, Annihilus is most often seen as a member of the Fantastic Four's Rogues Gallery. Which makes sense, since the character was first introduced in an issue of the First Family series, specifically Fantastic Four Annual number 6 back in 1968, and has gone on to be a major thorn in their side for decades. So bringing in the Four to help deal with the buggy baddie would be an appropriate way to introduce them. That being said, there have been quite a few cases where Marvel has hesitated to bring in a hero that you would expect in some of their films. Guardians of the Galaxy, for instance, would have been a perfect time to introduce Nova, and yet he wasn't there. And Infinity War and Endgame, had they followed the comic upon which they were loosely based, should have been when we saw Adam Warlock make his big debut. However, Marvel went a different direction and left us Warlockless. So just having Annihilus pop up doesn't necessarily guarantee a Fantastic Four appearance. Either way, I'm personally excited to see what Marvel has coming. Seriously, we've been devoid of MCU films this year, and I think I'm starting to experience withdrawals. What do you think? Do you think that Annihilation will pop up in the MCU and cause trouble for our favorite heroes in a future team-up film? Be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, why not consider subscribing to ScreenRant for more awesome videos just like this. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.